I don't talk to myself, I talk with myself. It's been 2 days since my last confession. The question for today is, what does my internal voice sound like when the house is completely quiet? So that's in reference to, I guess, getting children out of the house. Believe me, it is definitely a difference when certain children are home and when certain children are not home. Even times when my youngest Miles is visiting, like the energy of the house is just different. It's louder. It is wilder. It is full of nonsense. Let's say that much. So like just the energy of, not having his energy in the house is a very different thing. It does bring a liveliness to the house, for all its pluses and minuses, its pros and cons, For a while that, energy in the house is nice, and sometimes like, hey, I miss the quiet. So having the quiet kind of every day now is pleasurable in a lot of ways. Definitely not like, don't feel like I'm sitting at home lonely, missing the children, right? Like life is just fine with a quiet house for sure. But I did have a different experience when Jackie was in Ohio and I was in Mexico, and it was literally like nobody in the house, just me. So I don't have my road dog to talk to have fun with. It definitely kind of changed my perception of life in a lot of ways. I guess I'm just, when I want to go do something, even though I'm a homebody by nature, but when I do want to go do something, I generally want to drag her with me to go do it. So like, even though I'm in Mexico and it was sort of the height of the busy season in the city we were in San Miguel, so it's around Christmas time, so there's always stuff going on in the city. There's, out of towners are in the city, the snowbirds have come down, so like it's lively and full of life at that time of year. But I didn't really want to go out and do anything. I wanted to kind of just stay in the house. I didn't have anybody to drag with me to go do these things. So, having a completely quiet home definitely brings out a different version of me, or maybe just supports my own independent need to like not ever want to go out the house. So I tend to be stuck in the house if I am like completely alone. When we're talking about without children and I do have my road dog with me, like, that's a different story. That is more enjoyable. I don't feel lonely or alone at all. I like the quiet in general. So like, that's a good place for me to be. So I think I did have an expectation of like, once the kids are gone out of the house, I would do more of the things that I wanted to do, right? Like I would make more music or do more design stuff, or, maybe write or, do visual art or paint or something. Like I would just delve into my creativity a little bit more. And I definitely have done that, but in a different way than I think I anticipated. I thought that quiet and that space would have me more into making more music. And I think I've probably stepped back from making music more so to actually be in front of the camera and behind the camera. This feels more like my creative outlet now than I think music making does, which is sort of surprising and not surprising. I've made music since I was 12 years old, and there's always been, stretches of a couple of years where I just didn't make anything. I was doing something else creatively or nothing at all. Like, so having a stretch now where I'm not really making much in the way of music is not foreign to me. It's a, regular place to be. But I am, scratching that itch in a lot of ways by doing 7997 and making this content and finding ways to like creatively learn more about video and, how can I get this moody and high contrasty look to make it feel like, I'm having this introspective talk with myself. Like even the visual of like what this looks like right now is a creative outlet in a lot of ways. So having that quiet space, I think, has supported, this particular creative outlet. And definitely this was a creative outlet that was meant to, make sure that Jackie and I stay closer together and we have something that we can work on as a team together. So having the house just to ourselves, makes it even more imperative that we do things to make sure that we stay in touch with each other and stay close and stay connected. Because there's no buffer of children. There is no, joint worry about the children or joint mission around the children as much. There's still a little bit of that. But we definitely have to make sure that, we stay tied and close to each other in this space where there's just no children around anymore, and it's just us, right? And also, if you're watching the Home Again series that we do, being in a new space, in a new house, and decorating the house is also a creative pursuit and a creative outlet that I have, more space and more quiet to go and pursue. It's definitely a different, I say it's sort of similar and different than sort of the musical outlet I kind of talked about before. There is the idea of I make hip hop music, so I would go, find samples, find instruments, and all these little different disparate elements and bring them together into a final piece of music and write lyrics to kind of go with them. It's a very similar thing of you think about hip hop going crate digging, right? Like you go to the record store, you're flipping through records to try and find something to kind of dig up some samples from. Instead, I go to, the antique mall or the thrift store, and I dig through and find, the pieces that are going to go up on the wall, the picture frames, the furniture, the textiles, the pillows, whatever it is. And all those pieces come together into a cohesive space at the end of the day, hopefully. So that, interior decorating, interior design, creative outlet is also, I think, boosted and fed into by having that quiet and that space around a little bit more as well. I think there's also an interesting part of this where that inner voice that gets a little bit louder is also a little judgmental and critical, right? Not only looking at, how well have I done in life or how well have I done in the job, but also am I doing all the things that I have ideas for, right? I have files with, unfinished songs, I have unfinished beats, I have, ideas for content that just haven't been done. There's stuff that's been fully written and recorded, and I just haven't gone in and edited yet. There's 10 episodes of a taste testing show that need to be edited that I haven't edited. So, some of that inner voice is a little bit of I wouldn't say a critic as much as a more judgmental voice of you should be doing more. You have all these ideas and there's no reason these ideas have not come to fruition. You have the time and you have the space and you have the quiet. Why aren't these particular things done? It's very much a slower pace. It's a relaxed pace. And maybe I'm picking up a little bit of Mexico in that. From the time we spent in Mexico, picking up a little bit of that, tranquilo, a little bit of that rest space that, things don't have to be done right away. We can kind of get to it when we get to it. I'm working on maybe not being so judgmental and realizing that there is some time. I have a ton of ideas. Those ideas will get done when they get done. As long as I document them and I do, my due diligence in flushing them out, as long as I have them in my back pocket, I can kind of pull them out when I need to and when I'm feeling motivated to kind of get those things done. So, I try not to let that judgmental voice that comes out when it's quiet bother me too much. But, at times it is helpful to give you a little bit of motivation when hey, you've been dragging your feet on this project for long enough. Pull out the camera, hit record, and go sit down and record. Literally the NBA finals are on right now. The game's a little slow at the moment, so I'm gonna come and sit down and take 10 minutes and record my little session for this video. So that voice is a motivator. It's annoying. So I listen to it when I need to, and I ignore it when I need to as well. So yeah, overall I think this quiet is a productive quiet. It's a welcome quiet. So that inner voice has picked up some new jobs, some new judgments, and it's probably even joined by my wife's outer voice sometimes around that judgment. So I use all that as energy and motivation and annoyance and frustration whenever the situation calls for either one. So yeah, that inner voice has a lot more space to roam and to speak and to interject. And I think overall that's a good thing. It's no longer being drowned out by all the other voices and worries and concerns that your children could bring into the house. They are free now. So these very videos are brought to you by that inner voice that's free now to drive and motivate me to do this whole new world of creative outlet that I didn't even think I would ever be doing. So let's take a moment to thank our own little inner voices that now have the freedom to be as loud as they want to be.
I don't talk to myself. I talk with myself. It's only been a few minutes since I spoke with myself. Not too long, another question popped up. What does my internal voice sound like when the house is completely quiet? So when it is quiet and it's just me in the house, or if I'm in the car just driving with no music on, no radio on, my internal voice sounds just like me. I hear my own voice echoing and speaking like there's like internal dialogue, and I only hear my voice, and I hear those. Oftentimes I'll hear the hard things. I will hear the sad things. I will hear the challenges. And it's not all the time, right? But it's when it's quiet and it's just me. First of all, that's rare when it's just me in the house. So, and I think a lot of you are like that too. It is very rare when specifically women are in the home alone by themselves. I would dare say, especially after COVID, somebody's going to be home working. There's always going to be a Zoom call. There's always going to be something popping off in the house. But I work outside the home, and Chris works remotely. So it is rare, to really have a lot of time. He has to have an appointment that could be on a weekly basis or every other week or whatever. But when I'm home by myself, I purposefully will not have the TV on, especially if it's a flash. If it's just going to be a quick moment, hey, I'm gone for an hour and I'm coming back, I will not have TV on. I don't play radio. It is absolutely quiet. And those are the times really when I am just contemplating and I'm just thinking, and in a way also recharging, because part of what I do naturally is I'm just always making sure that other people are cared for and checking in and seeing how I can be of service, and I don't want it to sound weird, but a lot of us are like that. We check in on the kids. Hey kids, how, y'all okay? You need a snack, or what you up to? Just peeking, being cute, being nosy, being whatever. And so if I'm home by myself, I don't have to do that. And now that's just that time for it to be reflective or to sort of kind of zone out. And that sound, that voice is mine. I hear my own voice in my echo chamber. I'm also plotting and planning. That checklist is real. That checklist is real. Like, what can I do to get whatever it is done? So when hubby gets back home, I'm ready to be locked and loaded, if need be, or, catch up with him and see what happened while he was out or whatever. So, yeah, that's what bounces through this dome. I'll share next time more, okay?